What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and this is the Blacklist Season 6, Episode 21, and McMahon. Good build up for the final episode. The only problem I think I have, because everything else I enjoyed, it was really good, very intense, fun to watch. The only problem I have is it really does feel like Red and the team, they weren't really aware of the fact that McMahon has been spying on them this whole time. And I feel like that should have been obvious. Between her tapping the offices and having agents follow them, I figured that would be two things they would be completely aware of, and they'd be, making sure that they're not being tailed. They'd be maybe throwing some false flags in the way. And maybe that was just my expectation, for what was going to happen the second half of the season. I expected there, again, to be much more subterfuge and working under the radar and, oh, we're doing this, and then going somewhere else entirely. But we didn't get any of that. And so now that we're coming to the end, unless there's some big reveals in the final episode where, no, this was all part of the plan, it feels like there should have been more ways to get around what happened. Get around what they were going through, trying to chase down this dossier, working without knowing without McMahon knowing they were working. But we just didn't get any of that, and it felt like they were always one step behind because McMahon had surveillance on them, and so she knew that they had to step up their search to get there before them. But anyways, that's about the only issue I have. Everything else, very, very good. This random family that unfortunately just got caught up in this whole situation, I feel bad for them, honestly, because they're just a normal family, and what's his name, Moreau, decided, oh, I'm just going to slip it into this kid's backpack, and now all of a sudden they have to deal with this whole conspiracy. So yeah, very sad to see that the dad didn't make it through it, because I don't know, it just, because of the unfortunate nature of what happened, I was really hoping he would make it through, just so the family wouldn't have to suffer the consequences that it wasn't even their fault, really. So sad that he didn't make it, but of course he does manage to give the dossier to Liz before the end. And that, of course, leads them to finding out the plot. And I'll be honest, I'm still not really sure if we have the whole truth or not, because it just seems weird that the president would be like, okay, yes, let's put this plan in place to assassinate me, and that'll kick off World War III. I'll go down a martyr. I feel like there's more to it. Maybe he's planning on faking his death and reaping the benefits of it. His wife, we finally saw her for the first time, and there was a point where she was like, there's something you need to do first. I do kind of wonder if maybe they're going to assassinate her. Maybe it's like originally they were thinking about assassinating him, but they were like, no, what if we killed the first lady? Like, that would be just as much of a reason to kick off World War III than anything else. And it does kind of make me wonder, why would they do that in the first place? Why are they trying to start this war? I don't know. I feel like there's still a lot of things that we don't have answers to. So I'm hoping we'll get those answers before the end of this final episode coming up. But yeah, just interested to see how they're going to handle it, though, because everybody except for Liz and Red have been arrested now. So it's pretty much just going to be those two, it feels like, going up against McMahon and pretty much all of the Secret Service. So yeah, it's definitely a good setup. It's got me engaged. It's got me ready to see what's going to happen. I'm super excited. I'm stoked. So yeah, that's about it for this episode. Don't think there was anything else to mention. No, that was it. On to the final one. See you there. And finally, the season finale, episode 22, Robert Diaz. I gotta catch my breath. Holy crap. Just so much happened. Okay, I think I'm ready to talk about it. Yeah, brilliant conclusion to the season. Just everything, all the moving pieces, it kept me on the edge of my seat as they're going into this debate and trying to stop the assassination, which honestly, that was the second half. I nearly forgot to mention, the first half was them breaking out of the task force building, because that was awesome. Just Liz helping the team, working with the hacker kid, getting everybody out was incredible. And then second half of the episode is stopping the assassination. And then the final like part of it is just, basically taking down McMahon, exposing the conspiracy, and then build up to the next season. So yeah, I mean, all in all, it was fantastic. I will say I did. The more they focused on why would the president try to assassinate himself? Why would he do this? This doesn't make any sense. The more that they focused on that, the more obvious to me it became that he was trying to kill his wife. And then once they got to the point where the sniper, Million, I think his name was in the booth and had the shot, could have taken it several times, but then waited to shoot until the wife came out and hit her. My thought was, yeah, that's what he meant to do. And it does kind of make me wonder, because they did break in, like, right before, or right as he was hitting the shot. So I do kind of wonder if that's why he missed her heart and maybe, didn't kill her instantly type of thing. So I do wonder if they didn't really clarify whether or not that it was those two showing up that made sure he didn't kill her instantly, and left her alive so that she could explain exactly why the president would want her dead. But yeah, I mean, overall, I mean, it makes sense, I guess. I just assumed it was going to be building to something bigger. Like, they called it the Princip, and like Reddington said in the last episode, he was the guy that kicked off World War One by assassinating the Archduke of Austria. So I really thought that this was going to have some really big ramifications, like this whole thing. But in reality, it was just he wanted his wife dead, and so they faked an assassination. And maybe that was part of the plot, was making it seem like it was an assassination of the president, just so they could build up to the point and then kill his wife instead. And that was kind of the whole point. If so, that's a very grand way of taking his wife out. Like, maybe they thought it would benefit everybody if there was this supposed assassination attempt that killed his wife instead. Maybe they thought, oh, well, it kills several birds with one stone. It gets her out of the picture, and it boosts your popularity, and maybe it helps us take it to some of our enemies. We can blame it on them. I don't know. I do think this was a very elaborate way to get rid of her. So I have to assume that they were putting all of this in place. That way there was no way it was going to tie back to him at all. But I don't know. That just, to me, because they kept talking about how they love their country and this is for the country and all of this stuff, it seemed like the plot was going to involve a lot more people, and instead it just turned into, no, he just wanted her dead and out of the way. So I don't know if they made it completely clear why everybody thought that this was some big operation that was going to save the country type of thing. Maybe they just thought, we need to keep him in office for 4 more years, so this is the way to do it, is to get her out of the way. I don't know. That's the one thing that I will say, is just I didn't get that feeling. And when I finally found out the whole truth, I'm like, well, that doesn't seem as epic as what they seem to be building towards. Another thing, I actually forgot to mention it in the last episode, but it stuck out to me again in this episode. Cooper is just so good. And honestly, it did start to worry me a little bit, because there were several moments near the end between Red and Cooper where I was just kind of like, they're not going to kill him off, right? Because it seems like they're doing a lot of sentimental stuff between the two of them. But God, he's just been so awesome this season. And the two things that just really stood out that I forgot to mention in the last episode is when McMahon was like, I'm going to shut you down. And in my head was like, please say go ahead and try. And sure enough, go ahead and try. And I'm just like, yes! Brilliant. And then in this one, not only did he have several moments where he was really like just showing how awesome he is being in charge, but that last moment where he's talking to the president and he's like, how does a wanted fugitive take down a sitting president? With pleasure. Just brilliant. Just brilliant response. And they've really done a good job with the writing, like giving him good lines this season. Or maybe it's the actor that's like just pulling these out, improvising these great lines. I don't know. But Cooper has just been awesome this season, and it's a great way for him to end with some fantastic one-liners, which is exactly what I wanted. Dembe. The man. Dembe's the man. I'm not attracted to guys, but Dembe is the man. I mean, just perfect timing after this big shootout where like my heart was racing because people were getting shot, and they kept showing the leaking gas, and I'm just like, oh god, and then they showed a ROM in the van, and I'm freaking out because I'm like, please don't blow up the van with a ROM in it. And then he gets out, and I'm like, okay, but then he tosses the grenade, and then they take everybody down. I'm just like, okay, we're good. And then McMahon shows up, gun to the back of Reddington's head, and I'm freaking out even more. And then Dembe saves the day. Just brilliant. Oh, that whole action scene it just kept me on the edge of my seat. It was, I don't even have words. It was just perfectly paced. The music was well done too, because it was kind of this somber music, so it got you just like this sense that something bad was about to happen. Nothing really did, but it still gave you that feeling, and that it built the intensity for the scene even more because you felt like something bad was about to happen. Ah, and then again when Dembe shows up and just puts a bullet right through her brain, it just yes, I love that man. He's so good. But apparently there's something really really big going on behind the scenes, and this is something my last thing that I'll talk about is what season 7 is going to bring. Because we do see Katarina apparently is still alive. They've confirmed it. We know it now. She's still alive. And I had mentioned earlier there was a chance, because she made the comment to Ilya before they left, that if something happened to her, he would go take care of Masha. So I had the thought that maybe she was killed, or maybe the Cabal had her, or somebody took control of her or something. I don't know. But apparently he assumed she was gone, or he assumed she was out of the picture, and I assume that's what started this whole thing. But he manages to track her down. He has this guy track her down in Paris. I don't know who this guy is. I don't think we ever got his name, so I'm curious to find out who he is in all of this. Dembe talks about this Townsend something. Townsend, what was it called? Initiative? I don't think initiative is the right word. But essentially, something that really got Red's attention. So sure enough, he goes and tracks Katarina down, and then she sticks him in the stomach with something. It looks like he passed out. I'm assuming they're not going to kill him off, and especially like this, just she stabs him in the stomach, and then he just falls over, and then they just grab his body, and he's dead. So I'm assuming she injected it with something to knock him out. But I guess next season will be more focused on Katarina, and honestly, it's got me very worried, I guess, about what's going to happen, because Liz is like, I'm bringing Agnes home because I don't have to worry about what you're going to do, because now I know the truth and I know she's not in danger. But Red clearly still thinks she's in danger, so I don't know what the whole truth is, and I feel like, again, I'm not sure if Dom left some parts out of his story, or if he lied to her about some parts, or if there's just stuff going on behind the scenes that even he doesn't know about. And he's just like, yeah, sure, I'll tell her the whole story because she deserves to know. And Reddington's just like, nope, there's other stuff you don't know about that now this is going to set in motion, and it could hurt a whole lot of people. So, I don't know, just very excited to see what next season brings. And honestly, again, like I said earlier this season, it's almost getting me to that point where I kind of want to just go ahead and dive right into next season of the Blacklist, but I should probably take a break, go to some of the other shows, knock out some other seasons of those. But yeah, I mean, final thoughts on the season as a whole, it was brilliant. We didn't have all of the pieces throughout, and honestly, on the whole of it, when I look back and I think about how the season started, with basically everything to do with this conspiracy and who Bastian Moreau was, like, all of it put together, the fact that it was leading towards the president wanted his wife assassinated, it's a little simplistic, but the road to get there, and then everything to do with who Red is and what's going on with Katarina, they've done a very good job of building that up. So that way, there was no conclusion for that this season, but that wasn't the point. The point was to give us some bits of information. We finally have some more truth, but there's still a lot of the truth we don't know. We got some good facts, but not the whole thing. So now it sets up really well for the next season. But yeah, on the whole of it, the plot with Red being in jail was very interesting. It was really it was very interesting to see Red kind of backed into a corner for a lot of this season, and a lot of that came down to, Liz was his competitor and he didn't know. So he really struggled with that side of things. But yeah, I mean, being in prison, being on trial, and kind of constantly hitting these brick walls where it feels like most of the time he gets out of this situation. He didn't a lot of the season. He did have a lot of losses, and even though it worked out for him in the end, it wasn't as clean, it wasn't as smooth as he's used to seeing. And I do kind of wonder if that's going to start being a theme, especially now that Katarina's involved. I kind of wonder if maybe the emotions will get to him a little bit more and he won't be as on top of things. But there is a part of me that does feel this season was kind of a nice little break from Red constantly being in control and he has everything under control and things are fine. This is kind of a step away from that. He's had some issues in the past. He's had some moments in the past where people did get the better of him for the moment, but he always found a way to work around it. This one, it really felt like he needed everybody's help to get out of this situation. He had to work with people. He had to let people in more than he likes to. And I think it was a nice moment to see him a little bit more human because he's been such a inhuman figure for so many seasons where it just feels like he's always one step ahead and we're always just looking at him with such awe of like, oh my gosh, wow, how is he so good? This season, it didn't really he seemed very human. He seemed very normal a lot of the time. And I got to credit the writers for really letting us see that this season because it's a different feel for Reddington and it's not what we're used to seeing, but I think they handled it very well. And by the end, obviously he still gets away with it. And he still, fixes the problem. He still finds the answer and the solution and gets out of the tight spaces. But it was definitely a lot more by chance this season. And I think it was a fun watch because of it, because I didn't know what to expect a lot of the time. But yeah, all in all, good season. Really looking forward to the next season. Can't wait to see what they're going to do with Katarina now being involved. Hoping to get some more answers as well. But that's it for season 6. So let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts on these last two and the season as a whole? Let me know what you can talk about and discuss all the good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe, future Blacklist reviews, and I will see you guys at the next one. Peace out.